Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming along today for our webinar. Really excited for today. We're going to be talking about generative AI. Now, we touched on this topic in obviously many of our other webinars, but today we're going to have much more of a deep dive. And I'm joined by my colleague Nata Miljevic, who is one of our solution consultants who works with Adobe. So Nata does a lot of work with industry. And she's very experienced in how the generative AI tools that Adobe has is used in industry. So I think she's going to have some really interesting insights. Throughout the session today, we do invite you to drop any questions you've got into the chat, and I'll be happy to pick those up, or I'll pass them to Nata if I don't know the answers, and we'll get those answered for you. And I would also say that we will be recording the session today, or we are recording the session today, and we'll be putting it up on a YouTube channel, which I shall pop into the chat in just a second so that you've all got it. So let me just grab that for you now. And we're going to be putting all of our webinar series oh, that's the wrong one actually. So let me just get a different one. We'll be putting them all into the YouTube channel. So I'll pop that up there in a second. So without any further ado, I will introduce Nata, who's going to start the session today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to try and just share my screen just to see if there's any technical issues. Hopefully we won't have any problems. Please let me know if you can see my slide deck. Is everything okay?
Yep, all good.
Oh, cool. Perfect. Great. So, hello. Thank you so much for joining us today. Very excited to meet our education community. I have my commercial customers, so always very, very excited to speak to education. So thank you so much for joining me today. We hopefully will make some creative connections. I will share also my LinkedIn profile afterwards. So if you do have any questions after today's webinar, feel free to ping me anytime you'd like. So today's webinar will be all around sort of our generative AI technology and how Adobe has built on its offering sort of in the last couple of years. So we're going to kind of show you how Adobe Firefly and Express works as well. So we have some hands-on exercises as well. And we'll talk a little bit about how our customers are using these solutions today, which will hopefully give you an idea of sort of the industries that you might be moving into post finishing your degrees, or, just to give you an idea of how you can utilize that within an educational institutions if you're working for a university. And also at the end, we'll spend a little bit of time just to understand sort of the different roles that AI plays in terms of, future careers as well. So for example, I'm a senior solutions consultant, so I deal a lot with AI. So how does that sort of fit in within my role as well? And which are the, common roles that you would see within an organization like Adobe, where you would need to know a lot about AI technology. Great. So let me just move the slide to the next one. So what I wanted to sort of touch on first was a little bit of a background story in terms of, how AI emerged within Adobe. When did we start actually implementing AI within our technology? But I guess it's also really important to kind of pinpoint that we are currently in this really amazing wave of transformation, and it's actually very much focused on that creative change. And content is actually key to standing out as a business and making experiences very personal for everybody. So content is sort of at that heart of every brand, and this is what our customers are speaking to us every single day. And with that generative AI platform, we can now really easily create very personalized or highly personalized digital experiences on a very large scale. So Gen AI is not just a technology, it's not just a business trend, it is here permanently to stay, and it's going to shift in how people and technologies really interact, and how they create content and consume information. So Adobe's, is this moving? Yes, it is. Cool. So Adobe's tech stack in terms of AI technology has been around for a very long time. So you can see this slide that sort of portrays a little timeline. So there we do sort of have pre-2010 and then post as well. But Gen AI is actually nothing new for Adobe. We've been leveraging AI for a number of years, as you can see on the slide. So around 2010 is when a lot of it has actually been starting to accelerate in terms of the development. But I do want to break it down a little bit. So some of you may have used content aware fill or neural fillers in the past. I know I have done so back in 2010 as well. So we have all of these generative AI tools and features before sort of that spike that we've seen sort of, I guess it'll be around the time when ChatGPT was introduced. So whilst these are not generative AI per se, they are using something called machine learning technology. And this is very similar to generative AI technology in a sense that it gives you sort of the efficiency you need as content creators. So since sort of that 2010, so the big shift was really in 2023. We've had a lot of innovations and been introducing a lot of new functionality. So that year, 2023, was sort of a turning point as well for us when we introduced Adobe Firefly, and I'll be talking a lot about this technology today. And things like, I'm sure many of you on the call have tested out sort of generative fill and expand. I will talk about that as well in a couple of slides here. So Adobe has really had that massive acceleration in the Creative Cloud tools, and not just in a single product, but across all platforms. And we're going to be seeing much more innovation in the coming months and years, of course, especially with a focus on video content creation as well. I'll talk again very, very briefly about it today, but we do have some amazing beta features now that you can test as well. So just to kind of highlight that, we do have this very long history of generative AI for both creative media and creativity in general. So where is it actually positioned today within our tech stack? So I've mentioned it is across all applications. The main one, obviously, is the Adobe Firefly text-to-image capability. And I think this is the one that's been prevalent in terms of testing. And a lot of our customers are very familiar with it. So that means you type in your prompt and you get an image based on that prompt input. We do have a lot of supportive features as well. So we have, as I mentioned, generative fill and expand. So these ones is if you have an image and you want to expand that canvas, you can then expand sort of the crop tool and then click on a button to say generate, and it will automatically hallucinate the background around that image and give you a couple of options there to choose from. Today, we'll also be looking at style and structure referencing as well. So this means you can really generate content not only on your own style, but if you have your own layout and structure that you want to have applied to your text or image output, you can utilize that. Style kits is also a great one. So when you sort of save those styles that you have applied onto your images, you can then share those across so everybody is generating consistent outputs of the same sort of style. So everything is aligned and it's sort of beautifully created over a landscape. Object composites is also a very cool one. Again, we'll show this in a demo today. So this is when you're working with isolated or subjects, isolated objects or subjects. You can utilize Firefly to create environments around those objects. So it's just very important to mention that Firefly is actually not trained within those subjects that you plug into the platform, or does it use the IP of those images from the artist, and you can, rest assured that you can incorporate your own assets and in a safe way. So we won't be training on those assets at all. We do have one more thing that's new. That's the scene to image, which is currently in beta. So this is where you can generate images based on 3D shapes and camera angles. It's called Project Neo. You can test it today. It's very cool. If you have some time, I'd highly advise that you play around with the platform. It'll be very cool. Great. We have also, these are like the premium audio and video gen features. Again, these are available today as a beta as well. So if you have access to the Adobe Firefly platform, you'll have access to these today. You might not have them enabled directly on your platform, but there is a form you need to fill out to get access to these, but they're very, very cool. So the first one is text to video. So you can quickly transform your ideas into these short video clips. There's only a couple of seconds long though for now. You can also plug in an image and then make it move. I always use like sort of animals and then have sort of, birds flying, etc. So there's a plenty you can do there. And then we also have this very new one, which is the translator lip sync, sorry. So you can translate your videos into different languages as well. And we've been using that one very frequently internally, especially if you have teams that, speak different languages, you can really put your message across in different ways, which is very, very cool. Great. I'm going to jump into responsible innovation. This is a very important topic, and it's also one of the main ways that we are separating ourselves from other AI tools available out there that support the generative options. So very important as a solutions consultant sort of to mention these. So whatever we are producing through Gen AI, we're doing that in a safe way. So all of our AI capabilities are developed and deployed around our AI ethics. These are our principles. And we have 3 pillars. So we have accountability, we have responsibility, and we have transparency. So it's important to be using a tool that doesn't increase harm, essentially. So one of the things that we worry about is that the new technologies will reinforce existing problems that we have today, and look at sort of existing biases as well that we have in our society. So as an individual, I wanted to sort of pick out the tools where the company is being responsible in thinking through the potential impact those generation might have on our customers, on the society as a whole. So just a couple of slides here, just to kind of highlight that importance here. So we did mention that, earlier that Adobe has this really long history of building technology with AI. And we also have a very long history in responsible innovation as well. So we have many, many engineers that are working on best practices, and we drive those best practices to design our AI tools to be commercially safe. And that word commercially safe is very important when you do have a look at the different AI solutions out there. So we have an AI apps program that oversees all of our AI features that are being made at Adobe, and they are all tested to ensure they meet our standards, but also Adobe values. It's really important. So we test for things like biases, we test for harm, we test for safety, and we have a very diverse AI ethics board that looks at issues around AI, which in turn allows us to actually build these functionalities at that very quick pace and hand those over to our communities. So what we're doing is really sort of like balancing out innovation and responsible innovation. And what we've done as part of that movement is also to create a feedback mechanism, in all of our products. So what we have is whenever you go into any of our tools, you'll have a feedback option, and it gives you the option to send us or tell us your thoughts around Firefly and what it's doing well, what you might not like it what you might not like it doing. Sorry, apologies there. So you can tell us that directly, and that's really at the heart of how we look at ethical innovation. But one of sort of the more urgent issues that we're seeing today is the rise of AI around deep fakes. So you can understand that there's a lot of issues in the world where synthetic images are created to look real, and 99% of people are using the tools for creativity and expression, which is fantastic. But some people, we do have labeled as bad actors, and they can misuse this. So we are very worried around this possibility that people will struggle to really understand what's real and what's not. And you're seeing this in the news all the time. Even if you see something and it's not a deep fake, you don't really know if it's true or not, because it could be, essentially. So what we did is spend some time really thinking about this and created this technology, which is called content credentials. And basically what it is, it's sort of a nutrition label for content, and it allows us to really label sort of those good actors who want a way to be believed and want to find a way to be trusted as well. So we're giving our creators the ability to be transparent about how they create their images, what platforms they use. And a great thing about this initiative is you're going to want to see how the image was made and which events have taken place as part of that workflow. We have started this around 4 years ago, and we have around, I believe, 2,000 members within our organization working on content credentials today. We've made it an open standard so everybody can really build this into their workflows. Do want to show you what that looks like just in Photoshop and how you can enable that so your images are tagged. Be a couple of minutes long. I'm just going to stop sharing here for a moment and open up Photoshop. I'm getting a little bit of lag, so I might go off camera just to make sure that everything is smooth. One moment. All right, let's have a look. Where is Photoshop? Cool. All right, so I'm just going to make it large. If there's any issues in seeing, or if you're seeing any lag, please do let me know because I'm seeing a little bit on my end here.
So looking good, Nata. So looking good.
Very cool. Okay, so I think this is the image I wanted. Where is it? One moment, sorry. Give me just a second, I'll be quick. Okay, open with, this is what I want. Okay, so I got this image from Adobe Stock. And what I want to do here is make some edits to this image, save it, and then I want to use my platform to have a look at what exactly has been done on this image to make sure that I know that this is an image that has had AI input in it. So what we have here, just on the right-hand side here, this is the content credentials tab. If you don't see it here, I do advise you, if you do have Photoshop at the moment, if you have it on your desktop, open it up. You can trial it out as we go along. So it'll give you a better understanding of how to set everything up. Oh, I'm getting lag. I'm sorry. Okay, so it should be here, I believe. There you go, content credentials. So if you don't have it where I see it, make sure it's enabled here under the Windows tab. And then once you go in here, you have to enable content credentials. Once you do that, we can click on the preview button here, and I can now have a look at what we've done. So first of all, you can see it's produced by myself because I have created this file essentially, and I've plugged in my image. You can see any actions that I've been doing here. So I've just opened the pre-existing file. It's an Adobe stock image here. I've used Photoshop to open it, issued by Adobe. That's all I have at the moment. Now, what I want to do here is just make some edits here. So let's say I'm using this lasso tool and I want to use my generative fill functionality. And let's say I'm going to just select an area here and I'm going to say generative fill. So maybe I want to add a coffee cup, for example, and click on generate to add in that element in. So let's give it a couple of seconds. There we are. So it's a little bit close to the edge. I think I should have done a little bit better, but let me try again. Just 1 second. Just make sure I am using the right section. So what it's actually doing as we're generating, it's looking at where it's positioned and sort of, you can see I have a lot of depth of field on this image. So if I had to sort of do it very close to the edge, it will blur the image a lot because what it's trying to do is to generate a very realistic looking image. So it's not sharp, it's going to have that depth of field. So hopefully we're going to get something good. Oh, not quite, but let's have a look. Let's just use this one. It's the closest. There's a small espresso there, but let's use it for now. I just want to show you how you can then build on those credentials rather than having a perfect image. So here, if we click on the credentialing, you can see now the ingredients have been added. So I have a lot of different factors here. You can see how many times I've generated. So it's picking up everything that I've done. You can see, it's imported elements here. So I'm happy with this. I'm just going to say save file. I'm going to export that. I'm going to do a JPEG here just to make sure I can upload that, and I'm going to export that as an example and then save it on my desktop. Let's remove, I think I'm going to close this down now because I don't need it anymore. And now let's jump into a content authenticity website. So Alistair, maybe you can share just the link of that if you have it with you. And then we can go here into content credentialing, and very quickly, it'll be just a couple of seconds, we click on inspect. And here's where we select a file from our device. And I just want to use the desktop version example, click on open and see what we get. And this is essentially an overview of what you can see. And it does really pick up on everything, the who's been created. Again, everything that you see in Photoshop, all the different steps here, you can very clearly see how that's been done. And we have this really cool compare feature, which it allows us to then have a look at, the previous version. So you can go back and have a look at, what exactly has been removed from the image. So very cool. If you didn't have a chance to test this out yet, please do, and let us know how you get along with it. Great. So let me go back to and any questions, as I said, do stop me and I can answer anything if it's relevant and if you feel like maybe now is the time to share the response.
Yeah, we don't have any yet, but I would invite people, if you have any questions, do drop them in the chat and we'll definitely try to get to those.
Great. Just the last bit in terms of copyright. Again, it's something that really differentiates us from the other vendors. So, and when we were building sort of Firefly, we really looked and thought about issues that might arise when you try and develop the generative AI technology. And one of those issues was around copyright. And we had a lot of questions which were uncertain. This is a relatively new area, and a lot of laws around AI are still being shaped today. But one of the main questions asked is, can you train the data sets? Can you train the models on the data sets that are on the web? So can you train it on Google? Can we scrape the web and use that content to train our AI model to produce these beautiful images? And, things like, is it okay to use, these images under copyright law, for example, and then, what happens to the output of that and who owns the output? So we looked at that and said that, well, there are copyright issues and of course we need to be careful. Our creators were also getting very worried in terms of their work and, how it might be misused or used or, trained on. So with both of these aspects in mind or concerns, so these both copyright issues and creator concerns, we looked if we could apply our own technology, and train it just on the licensed content. And that licensed content is Adobe stock. And I'm sure many of you know what Adobe stock is. So these are licensed stock images that our creators have given us our right to. We've paid them to have the right to that. So we have that bounded set of data that we knew we had the rights to. And the reason we wanted to do this is because now we know the input is safe, we know where it's coming from, and we know the output is also going to be safe. And that meets our created needs there. And our customers who don't want to use this don't need to worry about IP infringement, and that's given us that great value to use Firefly and not worry about the risk. So hopefully that gives you a nice little picture in terms of how to even tackle, which sort of platforms you should be using and what kind of questions you should be asking before you actually start deploying that, maybe at that university level. Great. So we've spoken a lot about Firefly, and I do want to cover a little bit just on the basics of what it actually is. We all know that, the main functionality is the text to image prompting. So it's a natural extension of the technology Adobe has produced over the last 40 years. And it's driven by the belief that, people should be empowered to bring their ideas into the world precisely as they imagine them. So what we're doing, we're hallucinating these images or these ideas. So essentially that is what Firefly is, but then again, we do have all the different functionalities that I've covered already in terms of the generative AI. Firefly is accessible across all of our surfaces. So we've seen a little bit today for Photoshop, but it's also embedded inside InDesign, Express, Adobe Stock, Illustrator. So the list just goes on and on. So regardless of the tools that you're using at Adobe, so obviously I'm coming from a Creative Cloud perspective. We also have Document Cloud as well. Within that space, you also have, of course, AI as well. But, we have deployed it across all of our tools. We do have some kind of main use cases that our customers are seeing. So again, I'm coming from sort of more of a corporate commercial space, but storyboarding is one of really, really big ones. So, beautiful thing about storyboarding, you can also leverage the Firefly capabilities in other applications like Express, which is, a wonderful collaborative surface. So, when I'm sure when you're doing storyboarding, you do have to collaborate with different stakeholders, and these might be internal and external, and it's just a great platform to actually have that review process and understand, what is that ideation process behind that. And, I was speaking to a customer recently about this, we were pitching this great idea, to a big brand, and this might cost us, millions of pounds to actually do the ideation, to bring the models in, to, bring the prompts in. How do we ideate actually from that hallucination stage, and we can actually communicate effectively the idea to our stakeholders or partners, and then get, that initial buy-in before we actually start working on these projects. And this is exactly what it's designed for. Ideation, again, I've touched upon this. Ideation doesn't actually have to start from you thinking about a prompt. It could start from Adobe stock, for example. So we have a lot of stock photography. We've had it for a very long time. But with Firefly, you can actually personalize them. So you can go into an image and then add your specific personalization, add elements into it, delete things. Have that perfect ideation on those photography images with some simple prompting as well. So that's another, use case. A great one as well, creating and scaling assets for advertising. You might have a certain image created that you want to scale across web, email advertising, I don't know, social media, different banners, posters, print, for example. So this is, again, another way that you can very easily scale that content, be it from like a single point perspective on an image, or maybe scale it across thousands of assets through an automated process. And this is where, Adobe Firefly can really speed up that process, going from months into minutes. So there's really great value in utilizing Firefly for these things. I do want to show you very quickly what Adobe Firefly looks like. I do have two examples of what we will be showcasing today. Alistair, if you can, whilst I'm going through, would love to share those with you in chat.
Yep, will do.
Cool. Let me just go back. So at firefly.adobe.com, that's the link for the browser. If you don't have an account, I do encourage you to create one. If you do have one, please log in, play around the platform alongside myself today. I want to give you a couple of examples of what we can do with some style and object references, just to show you how easy it is. If you don't have to have a lot of AI knowledge to actually work the platform. But from here, you can do a couple of things. So just want to showcase where the text to video is. So these are all the sections where you would grab the different translations and audio functionality. Once you click on these, if you have access, then it will come up as the prompting screen. If you don't have access, it will be a form to fill out to gain access. So please do that and explore and give us feedback as well. So I'm going to be using just the text to image generation. You can do that here, or you can click on here. And a great thing, oh, wait 1 second, I didn't want to do that. Will it open? It's going to open this one, but essentially if you haven't actually played around with it, it will give you sort of an overview of what other people have been working on, so you can have a look at their own prompting examples. So we'll actually be using this one today. Let me just remove some of these options here. So the first example I wanted to showcase is this prompt: barista behind a coffee machine, looking relaxed and happy, holding a cup of coffee, smiling at the camera. So if you have Firefly in front of you, please type in the prompt. So Alistair will put in the chat, and let's see what we get back. We always get 4 examples, and you can see I've played around already with this today. So if you have within the 24-hour space you used the platform, you can always go back and have a look at all the different examples that you had worked on. You can also download these samples here as well. So this is what I'm getting. So first of all, amazing look and feel already. You can see the clarity of the image is perfect. It's I know AI has a lot of issues like hand-it-up, but here it's quite clear and beautiful imagery. We're on Firefly image 3 today. Image 4 is coming this year, so I'm very excited to see the even further improvements on the image quality. But if you do want to go back to image 2 model, you can do that here. We have also the aspect ratio, so I'm just using a square, but if you depending on the output, you can change that here. And then we have a couple of filters here. So in order to manipulate that image into something that you have thought of in your mind and you want to sort of maybe make it on brand, maybe have a certain look and feel, certain vibe, for example, or maybe if you want to add an object, you can use the menu on the left-hand side to do just that. So I'm just going to run you through some options here. So we have two composition referencing here. So you can use one or the other. You can't use both at the same time. So the first one is the object. So let's say if you are a company selling perfumes, for example, and you want to use the exact bottle of perfume and then just generate the background around that perfume, you'll be using the object composition. If you're wanting to add in maybe a reference in terms of the style, so look and feel, so maybe pink colors, you'll see that in a second, or just different look and feel that's tied to the brand that you are creating for, then you would use the style composition reference here. Oh, apologies. Style reference, that's down here. Composition reference, apologies, I switched these around. Composition reference is the actually composition of what you're seeing today. So am I holding a cup and is my body shifted to the left side? What is actually in the composition? Do I have a coffee machine there? Maybe it's, I don't know, a table with chairs. So this you can either take from maybe like your previous projects, or you can sketch it. So I'll show you how that works with a sketched image. So I have this actually on the desktop here, and Alistair will share that as well with you. So I've just, I have this very simple sketch image, and I want all of my images to actually reference and be composed in this manner. So let's have a look at how I can do that. So very easily under the reference here, let's just select my desktop and select, I think it's this one, it is. Open that up, and you always have to confirm you have the right to use it. So if you're using Google Images, you might not have the right to use that unless it's the royalty has expired. So please be mindful when you're creating these. It might take somebody else's style that you don't want to be doing that. So just affirm, say okay, and then let's regenerate and see what we get back. So let's have a look. We want to create something similar to this. Give it a couple of seconds, and there we are. So pretty good, I would say. It is copying my reference for sure. We do have this bar here for strength as well. So if you want to sort of have it a little bit of a hint of a reference for the style, then you can, move it to the left. If you want a full replication, then move it to the right and re-click generate. And you can obviously regenerate as many times as you need it until you find the right image for you. So going back to the style, so this is sort of that look and feel that I was mentioning. So let's say that we want to have, or we have, let's say, a pink coffee shop, and we want to have that style replicated. We can either upload an image of that, or we can use one of the already pre-configured references. We can browse the gallery, you can see, I quite like this neon look and feel. Let's just try it out and see what happens. As soon as you add these in, you can see they're appended down here to your composition. So you can always remove that if you want to go back to the original. So let's generate, see what we get back. So very easily you can manipulate these images to make sure you're getting what you want to be getting out of this, especially if you're, working for a company that obviously every company needs to stay on brand, but, looking at particular campaigns, etc. This is what you'll be getting. Right, I don't want this one, but you can see how that's taking away, what we have. But let me just show you. I do have a pink, I think I do. Downloads. This one? It is. So these are like the pink colors that I wanted to use. So let's just see what I get back for this one. AI is very unpredictable on a demo, so hopefully we will get what we need. That's good. So let's try again. Oh, again, you do have the strength bar here, just to kind of highlight that. This is why we got the exact replica of that one. So let me just move it maybe this way. I do it again. It's not doing it very good. Oh, because of this. I will show a different example. I've just actually generated one down here, so maybe it's just easier to showcase. You would be getting something like this. We'll just go back down in a second, but yeah, it will replicate sort of, that look and feel and the colors there. Just have a look what we got. Oh, not as amazing as my first one, but yeah, this is essentially my first go at it. So once you are happy with that, you can also adjust other things like color and tone. So if you're not using a reference, you can also adjust the lighting. You can have a golden hour, low lighting, etc., multi-exposure, and also the camera angle. You can either type it in or you can reference it here. So is it sort of depth of field? Is it microphotography, etc.? Great. So I'm going to delete all of this, and I just want to quickly show you, be 1 second, how the object composition works, because I think this is really important. Let me just go back for a second, and then oh, why is it not clearing everything? Oh, they got clear. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is how object composites works as well. So this is, again, something that I'm taking from Adobe Stock, and I just want to use this cup here and place it into a background, basically. So let's say I select that, click on open. It's going to give me, again, you have to affirm you can use it. And just want to make sure I have the right sizing. So do I want it to kind of go across the entire page, or, if it's kind of small, and where is it located within the canvas? You also have this remove background option here, which is super cool. So if you don't have a PNG file of it, you can always just click on remove background. It's going to beautifully clean that out for us. And then again, you can still kind of scale it on the page where you want it to be, and then click on confirm. And then here, we can then start adding, I don't know, maybe coffee cup, maybe on a wooden table. Maybe it's a sunny day. I don't know. Maybe there is a river in the background. Let's see what we get. Again, you have to be very specific with the prompts. I do advise you to probably go in and play around so you can understand, how to construct the best prompt. And the more you play around with it, the better you will get, for sure. Yep, so let's have a look. There you go. So it's looking at scaling that, it's like a frappe, isn't it? Onto a wooden table. It's taking the composition. It is, placing it beautifully. There's shadows here as well. It looks quite realistic to me. So once we do that, we can also do other things. So we can open it in Photoshop as well. You can use this as a style reference. We can do generative fill and expand. So we can also generate similar images if we want a little bit more, just to show you how that works. So, you can have the image then moved onto this view here. And then if we use the expand, we can do that. And I did mention generative expand quite a few times. If you want to expand that into a different canvas size, very easy. Just open it up in terms of the crop marks and then click on generate, and it's going to hallucinate the remaining missing parts of that image. And again, you'll get a couple of options here that you can choose from, like so. Very nice and simple. Any questions? I'm just wondering if there's anything in the chat.
Yeah, we don't have any specific questions. There were just a few things about people's licenses and so on, but that's all answered. But yeah, guys, if you do have questions, this is your chance. So do drop them in the chat. We'd love to get your questions. Great.
Perfect. So I'll move on to Adobe Express. So Adobe Express is one of my favorite applications. I'm an ex-HR employee, so we use this in HR so much in terms of internal communication and creating beautiful presentations. And there's so much you can do in Express today, especially if you don't actually have any creative experience before. So it's an application that sort of has all different aspects from all of our different Creative Cloud applications, but at that sort of lower level. So can really create things on the go. So what Express is exceptionally good at is keeping our customers on brand. So I'll show you in a moment, there's a very cool brand option where you can put all your assets at that organizational level and have things like logos, colors, templates, assets in terms of backgrounds, maybe imagery, that's always sort of set at that high resolution, etc. And then utilize that when you're creating a branded material that is going out to the public. Like I mentioned, super easy to use. So we say everybody from 5 to 100 plus can use it. It's super intuitive. So it's all-in-one content creation app. It's very easy, like I've said, to stay on brand and drive that velocity of materials or assets. It's also has generative AI. So what we've seen today in Firefly, you have those capabilities. I'll show you that in a moment as well. Within the Express platform, it's commercially safe, as we mentioned, and it's great for collaboration. You can very easily send assets across for approvals, make comments, notes, share it as a link, for example, or invite via an email invitation, etc. So very, very cool platform. We'll see that in a moment. What we're hearing back from our customers, so these are again corp customers, so they're saying 80% of the challenges is maintaining brand consistency for marketing. And this is a very crucial thing. And I'll show you that in an example in a moment where, whatever you place out to the public needs to stay on brand. It can damage the reputation of the brand. And also you might be posting something that maybe you shouldn't have been posting. So keeping those assets and templates locked down, which Express is extremely good for, is super valuable to our customers. Also, we're seeing 20% of our customers saying they're looking for a way to help lower pressure within design teams. So what we're seeing today is the design teams are managing all simple edits. So we don't want to be seeing design teams doing, removing backgrounds or, adjusting templates and moving the logos across to a different space, etc. We want to enable our marketeers, for example, or, students, for example, or university staff to be able to very easily create beautiful looking content that is on brand. So just to give you an example, so this is obviously the Adobe brand. So we have, Adobe Wordmark, we have Adobe Icons, we have so many variations. And just to show you, we have 26 different logo variations at the moment. This is what probably my desktop or Finder looks like. Not today, but it used to look like maybe a year or so ago. It was very difficult to find the right assets. They were in folders, on desktops, on hard drives, and then, they might be within an intranet portal, in terms of links, or, have to go to a marketing brand portal and download them. So it was very, very complicated to actually go through the motions of actually finding where these are. And then also, what happens if they're updated and then you're using an old logo, it doesn't really look good. So especially if you're going through a rebrand. So, a lot of the times I think, guilty myself as well, that I've sometimes used maybe an old logo when I shouldn't have. And, having that brand consistency within Express, having one source of truth where your marketing teams can update all of those assets in real time, and then you don't actually have to worry about these things, is very, very useful. There's a lot of different use cases for Express. We mentioned like the main ones. Also using low resolution images. So, very quickly think like, oh, I need this Adobe image that I know where it is on Google. Let me just go and grab that very quickly. And you go and then you're like, oh, this resolution is okay. But then once you actually go into, I don't know, print, or if you post it on social media, you can see the resolution is bad and it doesn't really play well to your image as a brand. So, things like that. And non-approved fonts, for example, fonts are a huge thing with Express. Well, with brands, essentially, you're very easily recognized through your fonts, so making sure that you're using the right fonts across all assets is really, really important. So, this is just kind of some of the use cases that we see, and I'm sure you can resonate with a lot of these today. This is just an example, again, why brands are so important to keep on brand always, and to make sure that, whatever you're publishing out there is, it's not sort of infringing any other company out there as well. So there was a legal battle between Tesco and Lidl around the look and feel of their logo, just to showcase how important this is, and how somebody's brand is very, very important. And having a similar sort of yellow circle with the blue box, and obviously Tesco has lost this legal battle, and they have around £8 million pounds worth of rebranding now to do, and to make sure that they are unique within their brand and staying on brand moving forwards. So just one of the examples where you can have a monetary reputational change as well. It's a great little example here. How does Adobe Express solve this? We kind of talked about this: centralized brand assets, sharing templates. I'll show you how that looks like in a second. And then again, simple interface, super easy to use. And if you have some struggles, please let me know. But I think everybody will be very proficient in using Express. Very quickly, I know we have around 15 minutes left. I do want to leave some time for questions, and I think you probably will have some questions in the last couple of slides, which are around employment. But yeah, so this is Adobe Express. So this is I think it's blocked now, is it not? Let me just quickly make this smaller. I'm having a little bit of lag again. Apologies. Okay, so I'll keep this nice and short. I don't think I'll spend too much time just going through all the different steps because we're out of time a little bit. But yes, essentially, this is the landing page. You can do so many different things. You can create social media posts, flyers. You can start from already pre-created templates. We have thousands of templates here that you can choose from. We had also generative AI to create templates as well. I'm just going to click on to show you where it is. So you can generate templates from a prompt, also amazing with like headlines. You can generate amazing text effects as well. Again, I'll leave you to that to try it out. And then simple things like we've said, generating images, inserting and removing objects, which is fantastic. You can also do a lot in terms of presentations, converting PDFs. We also have some quick actions here as well. So doing a lot of things like with video examples as well, captioning videos, converting things. So sea of options and applications you can choose from here. Now, the most important thing is the brands portal, which I just want to show you where it is. This is you need Express Pro, and I believe, Alice, to keep me honest here, I think it's 6 months free for students at the moment.
Well, all of the students at our creative campuses have access to
Perfect.
Express Premium. So, yep, everyone should have access to all of this functionality.
Excellent. So I have a couple of brands here. I'm just playing around here. It's nothing that I'm using externally. And I have this Adobe brand here. And what I'm using it for, or what my marketing team is using it for, is to distribute this across the entire organization. So we all have access to this, and it's consistently being updated by the admin. So I actually don't, this one I have admin rights to because I'm a solutions consultant, but you wouldn't have access to actually add in within this brand. So if you click on here, you can see all the different logos that I can use. You have the Adobe colors. I can't really use any others than these. We have our fonts here. They're also, made sure that they are being used for either headers or body, depending on what I'm creating. And then this is the important bit here. So we have our templates here. So for example, if you want to use an Adobe presentation template, you can start from a presentation template here, and it's going to have all the different sections outlined. And what you can do with this, and I'll show you with just one of the examples here. I'm just going to use, for example, this data sheet template. You always start from a new, so you don't override the existing one. You actually don't have access to that if it's locked down. But what you will be doing is locking down certain aspects within the actual template, which you can or cannot change. So let's say this logo here, you can see it's locked. You can have the option to give to your user the option to unlock it if you want. Again, just because I have the ability to do demos, I can unlock it, but you don't necessarily have to have those permissions enabled. And that kind of allows you to always stay in brand in terms of the look and feel, the logos, and also the layout within this page here. So you can see here, anything that I can change is in the form of a text, and it's going to stay within those certain guardrails within the asset that you're changing. So very, very good for those things. In terms of actually creating new content, I'll be very quick here. So I don't think we have time to actually generate anything, but you can go in and create social media posts. It's great. It does have these different sections for Instagram or Facebook, etc. Select what you want to be creating, and this is where you would start your creative process. So if you go to the media tab, it is going to highlight what you have here. So generating images. So this is the same thing that you've seen in the Firefly portal here. You can do like a square post. I'm just going to show you what you have here. You can scale it up and down, position it where you want, and then you can start to, create your assets from here. And then what else you can do here, you can upload from your own device, and you can also use Adobe Stock here, so you can have video, stills, or whatever, and audio even. You can select to build your compositions. Again, text effects as well. Let me just see if I have something actually pre-created. think I did here. Yeah, I was planning to show you this, but yeah, so once you are adding in your text, you can see here that I have my Adobe Clean Adobe brand that I can only choose from. Similarly with colors as well, if I was to change the color of the text, you can see here that I have my Adobe brand colors that I can choose from as well. So really keeping on brand throughout the whole cycle of creating these. And then in terms of creating templates and, making sure that they are sent out to the right people, you can just click on certain elements here to lock them down before you actually create a template to, kind of block certain aspects to be changed, and then very easily click on the share button and then make this as a template. And this will give you the option to lock down the restrictions and then share it out to either the wider audience within your business or maybe amongst your, fellow students or staff members, and then collaborate on this material here. Cool. I'm going to go back to my slide because I know I have a couple of more slides just to go through, and then I'll take some questions. And if anybody wants to see anything else, I can definitely stay over a little bit as well. Cool. Let me just go back here and open this up. Let me see what I have. Right. Cool. So this is a question we get a lot. So rather than actually customers asking us like, oh, what are the creative opportunities within the AI space, we're actually hearing it the other way around. So everybody's really, really concerned that AI will actually replace the humans working on these creative workflows, or remove the originality of humans as well. And that's actually not the case at all. So we are developing our tools to empower creative communities to deliver amazing outputs. It's not intended to replace creativity at all, but it's intended to enhance that creativity and also reduce that, very manual, time-consuming task, repetitive tasks, like formatting, for example, or, changing things within an element or aspect of an asset. But most importantly is, what are the options in terms of AI within the employment space? And there's so many. It's such a huge movement at the moment. You can imagine, security, for example, architecture, consulting, as in my own role, working on the actual, engineering side of things. There's so many different and new positions being opened or are open today. And I think on a CV, knowing how to utilize AI software, understanding the, what we mentioned in terms of like security, being commercially safe, and, knowing AI in its depth form is going to be very, very beneficial. So we've seen so this is actually a report. It's called Creativity with AI in Education. It's actually been produced this year. I need to double check actually who is there's between Adobe and another business. So apologies, my mind's just gone blank. But this is the report that we got back through the vendors, and we've actually surveyed educators to understand, how important is AI for students, and 95%, that's nearly 100%, have agreed that future careers involving AI are very, very important. So you can see 57% regarded this as very important. So yeah, using generative AI for even at university for creative or multimedia projects, having that exposure and experience will for sure secure jobs in the future once you have, come out of university and you're looking for your first roles or, to develop your careers. In terms of skill sets, depending on the role, I think it's quite varied. For me, understanding, how to use AI within the software is a key thing. And I think once you understand how AI works in a single platform, you can apply that knowledge across the different platforms. It's developed in a similar way. There's some variations in terms of value, but you understand, you grasp that concept from that early stage, and it's actually a very good time to be involved in AI today, because you can see it grow, right? So you would understand sort of that historical movement and how it came about, and you will have that in-depth knowledge as long as you keep up with innovations, moving forwards. Again, one of the key skills, I guess, prompting. I know we said we might be able to kind of cover today, but we had so much to cover that, a little bit ran over time. But, prompt engineering is really a key skill, and it does take time to develop. So it does take also, a little bit of effort to understand, the different levels of creativity, the different types of artist movements, for example, making sure that you're able to create more clear and better outcomes, for example. So really investing in students and upscaling them to develop these skills, to create these better outputs is super important. And not just in the creative space, but also, I'm sure everybody's using, or not everybody, but a lot of people are using the AI assistant, for example, understanding how to ask questions, understanding how to format responses, or how to get out key data from, reports, etc. It is really a skill to be learned. Everything else in terms of like security, architecture, you would need to be quite specialized. And I'm sure at that level, for your bachelor's or master's, you would already have had a shift towards that space anyway. Alice, I don't know if you can maybe add something here, because you do have very good exposure to the educational space, if you're seeing some trends there.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I think across education, I think what I see is that there is a lot of there's a lot of engagement with AI. It does vary across universities. So how kind of they've thought that out. But I think one thing that's definitely true is that a kind of growing consciousness of that employability element of it as well, and that there's a recognition that you need to have those skills that are being used in industry basically in order to to help you get a job basically. So one of the things I would say is if people are looking for a kind of jobs boost on it, we do offer like micro credentials. So this is a digital badging scheme that all our Creative Campus students and staff can access, and I'll drop the link into the chat so that you can have a look at that. And these are short courses that lead to a digital credential that you can put onto LinkedIn or use in your CV as well. So let me just drop that into the chat. We did have a couple of questions, Nata, as well.
Sure.
So there was one around, please let me just scroll back and find the question actually.
No, I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll go back on camera.
Yeah, no problems. It was basically about what is the environmental sustainability impact of using this, or is there somewhere we can find out more about this? And I think this has been something that's kind of been in the news, right, this week. Yeah. It's a bit of a game changer with some more sort of less energy intensive AI models have come out now, which I think is actually, that's the pointer to the future. And I think that's the direction that this technology is going to take, because, it makes it less, energy inefficient, and it makes it cheaper to run as well.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're straight to the point. We are obviously very mindful of that at Adobe. You can have a look at, we do have a sustainability page. I'll add it to the slide deck actually before I send it out, and Alistair will forward that on to everybody attending. We're actually currently also building the AI report, so I can't speak to the data at the moment because I actually haven't seen it yet. But yes, we are building it today, and I know we're always thinking ahead and trying to understand like how can we reduce that environmental footprint moving forwards. I think it's also a little bit of challenging in terms of like how do you actually measure it today. So this is the feedback that I'm getting back from the business, but hopefully we'll have some updates this year on that. I'm also waiting to see the report and understand, where do we rank on that scale. But so far, we haven't actually received. We do have some information around sustainability. You can have a look at that on the website, but nothing very concrete in terms of measurements at the moment.
Yeah, and it's such a fast-moving kind of space as well that I think it changes quite quickly as we've seen this week. If anyone else has any questions, we had one technical question that probably you wouldn't be able to help. It was just somebody wasn't able to download Firefly generated images from stock. And there are Firefly generated images in stock. Maybe that's a setting that's set on that kind of admin side. I don't know if you've come across that. Otherwise, we can take that offline and kind of dig into that a bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
need to
that's
understand
fine.
also in terms of like which agreement type you have, and we
Yeah,
need to have a look
yeah,
at a couple of things before we can
yeah.
confirm.
Yeah, everybody should have the ETLA or the enterprise agreement level, but of course you have to sign
Okay.
in the correct way. So make sure that
Yes,
sometimes people
that
sign in
happened to
with
me.
personal
That
IDs.
happened to me
Yeah,
today because I have different profiles, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
it's not letting me download. And then I realized I wasn't signed into the right profile, and then I did. So yes,
yeah.
you to the point, Alice.
Definitely. So listen, thanks everyone for coming along today. I have dropped into the chat links for our where you can register for our upcoming sessions. And we've got some great sessions coming up. We're going to be looking at PDF workflows, how you can use PDF in Adobe Express really easily. We're going to be looking at short videos as well quite soon. But there's a whole range of other topics that you can sign up for our webinars. All of the webinars are going to be put onto our YouTube page, and I think I also dropped the link in for that as well, but I will do so again if people want to reference that, so you do have that available to view. Final thing I'll do is if you are interested in the topics we've discussed today, and if you want to find out more about like events that we run and about different programs that you can take advantage of, then do sign up for our newsletter. So there's our Creative Campus newsletter. So any staff or student at one of our creative campuses is welcome to subscribe to our Creative Campus newsletter. And we put that out once a month. It's packed full of information. I would really encourage you all to subscribe. And thank you, everybody. And thanks for coming along today. And I look forward to seeing you at another webinar.